Well, joining me now with more is Michelle Castillo. She's a president at TIWWG. She is a media expert, as we like to call her here at the New York Stock Exchange. Michelle, it's great to have you.
Great to see you again, Kristen.
How could this change impact Facebook users?
So you probably are used to posts being taken down or just seeing content being removed. This is probably going to be a little less common as you use Facebook now. So previously, Facebook had built this big system of fact checkers and automated systems to flag controversial topics. Zuckerberg now is saying that those policies went a little too far. Now they're going to rely on community members to flag lower level violations. So things that might be questionable won't be taken down. Zuckerberg said in a 5-minute statement that he felt that even if 1% of posts on Facebook were incorrectly flagged, that would amount to millions of posts, and that really was unfair for a lot of the users who now are really looking towards prioritizing free speech, in his words. Now, also another thing that you're going to see is more opening of topics, including less restrictions on talking about immigration and gender, for example.
I'm curious what this means for Meta. Users, I'm sure, will see a different experience, but when we talk about Meta big picture, what do you anticipate?
Well, I think this is a signaling of the shift of a lot of tech companies, including Meta, moving towards a more Trump-friendly environment. Now, we know that Meta and Amazon and even OpenAI, Sam Altman, donated $1 million each to the Trump inauguration fund. They're signaling that they're willing to work with Trump. And Trump's biggest complaint about these social platforms is that they were censoring free speech, in his words. So they're starting to make policies that are more amenable to this new administration that's going to start on January 20th. Now, you're also looking at Meta being criticized a lot for their policies by Republicans. They just see that this is going to continue to go forward, so they're really trying to shift their policies, shift their stances right now before they are going to be penalized in the future.
We've seen X under Elon Musk's leadership, formerly known as Twitter under Jack Dorsey, move toward this free speech model. With Meta joining on, do you expect other social media platforms will do the same?
I do think that it is going to be a shift towards this more community model. First, we're seeing a lot of these platforms spending lots of money towards AI, which means that their bottom line when it comes to earnings isn't as high as it used to be. So they're going to have cost-cutting measures. And one thing that they can cut is places that they know they're going to be penalized from the government for. So removing things like fact checkers, removing things like these automated systems, not only will keep the costs lower, it will keep their user base, which they feel is shifting towards a more freedom of speech view, happy, as well as really keeping politicians off their back at this time.
We have CES underway in Las Vegas. Michelle, I think you've been to this event many times on the ground. How have we seen Meta be part of the conversation this year at CES?
Well, this fact-checking announcement, even though it came out during CES week and not at CES, has been a huge topic of conversation. Linda Yaccarino, who is the CMO of X, had actually applauded Meta, saying that this community notes model has worked for X and it will work for other platforms. We're seeing others criticize, like Jeffrey Katzenberg, saying that this opening up of free speech could really be detrimental. You could just see Meta is starting to fit in with the narrative, and CES is really a place where you see the trends for the year ahead.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to start seeing a little shift towards less quote-unquote policing by platforms just from this move by Meta.
When we talk about innovation and hardware, Meta does have a hand in that as well when it comes to virtual reality and some of its headsets. What is the status of those?
So one of its high-end headsets, the Meta Quest Pro, which competes against the Apple Vision Pro, that is actually going to be discontinued. I think that's a sign that the market is really not as deep on VR headsets or even augmented reality headsets as people might have thought in the past. So we're starting to see, again, cutting and curtailing of budgets in areas that aren't as prioritized or aren't doing as well as these companies shift budgets towards AI, which is another huge topic of interest at CES this year.
Yeah, I want to hear from you in terms of artificial intelligence, what innovations, the latest and the greatest we might anticipate, of course, after hearing from NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang. Must be a celebrity these days on the ground at CES after that keynote earlier this week.
But it's not even NVIDIA, it's all the companies announcing AI announcements. I was just looking at Delta, and Delta announced that their customer service app is going to be powered by generative AI. You have Samsung, they're announcing AI for all, really AI-ifying or artificial intelligence-ifying their home experience. Now, the question is this a fad? I don't think so. There are fads that have come and gone. Let's remember NFTs. That was one fad at CES one year. But AI has been there for a while. It's really evolving at a rapid rate. And I do think that this is something that is here to stay. And you're going to start seeing more companies replace workers in areas that they can with AI, for example, customer service, and really seeing how AI can personalize a lot of tech for people. CES is just a beginning of what we're going to see in the years to come.
Yeah. Anything else on your radar, Michelle? We only have a few minutes left.
So I would say we definitely want to take a look at where platforms are going to be spending their money outside of AI. We had a lot of talk about the metaverse from Meta in the past. I do see a lot of people scaling back from that, but Meta's still really full on in the metaverse, according to Zuckerberg. So this is going to be a sense of where budgets are shifting. That could also be a sense, in the greater scheme of things, of hiring patterns in the future. We do see a lot of, as I mentioned, a lot of these companies are trying to cut costs. So if they are going to hire in certain fields, what does this mean for other jobs that are being cut in the future?
We will be talking a lot about jobs this week as well, with a whole host of jobs data on tap after that ADP report this morning. Michelle Castillo, media expert and consultant. Michelle, thank you for joining us always.